Hey, we're back. It's Braden. I'm joined by Jim Bob Hoobley, and this is.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine?
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolate.
Stop that!
Health, sleep, birth.
Absolutely.
Godsmack.
How are ye doing today?
Good. How about
Good?
you? Yep.
I'm doing all right. I missed you.
I missed you too.
What has it been, like a month now since our last, a little over a month since our last episode? I don't know what else to say. We've said it all already.
Well, this time we had a lot of technical difficulties with
Yes.
our old recording software.
We had recorded an episode, and hopefully we can re-record it soon. But it was really, really good. It was with the first time that Israel and Logan were on an episode together. We did top 5 male actors, our personal top 5. All 3 of us did it, and we're because Zencaster lost both Logan's and Israel's audio. I decided to cut them off completely, and I told them in a very rude way how unpleasant I was with their software. Yeah, you just can't do that. We worked hard on that one. So, yeah, technically it was not a month between our latest recordings because we did record an episode, just so you all know. It was on Zencaster's end that they really messed that one up. So let's do some news, Logan. I don't know if you have any. Do you have any news?
Not really.
Okay.
Do you have any news?
Yeah, I do. First of all, have you continued to watch Cobra Kai at all?
Actually, lately I have not had the time to sit down and watch something.
Right. That's good. I'm glad you're busy, so you can be stressed and sad and depressed. So, we usually don't go over movie, actor deaths, anything like that. We're not that kind of episode. Well, we do go over those kind of things, but we have their own episodes for them, and usually from way in the past. But we don't do like latest news that much, or recent deaths. But actor George Segal passed away. He was kind of somebody that I watched on the Goldbergs, which is one of my favorite shows. So that was really a bummer. That was very sad. So there's that. He passed away. Very talented guy. Do you know who that is, Logan?
No, actually, it not coming to mind.
I mean, he was older, of course. So he was in a lot of movies in the 60s. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and movies like that. In the 90s, he was in Flirting with Disaster. But he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Probably his best or most well-known performance. And then, of course, more recently, he played Pops in the Goldbergs, which is a more popular show, of course. Excuse me. Also, if you hear background noise, you're just gonna have to get over it. I'm sorry. So that's pretty much. Oh, and I also wanted to go over something. So for quite a few years, the Academy Awards has been making a museum of sorts in Los Angeles. They've kind of been, and it's been delayed because of COVID. They were going to open it a year or two ago, I believe in 2020, and they're finally going to be opening it, which is really exciting because they're going to be having on display some really iconic props and pieces of sets. I'm talking about from Wizard of Oz, from Star Wars, that have never been shown to the public. I mean, these studios, and I'm talking, not just props, but costumes too. Screen-worn costumes, iconic, worth millions upon millions of dollars. They're going to have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stuff, if not maybe over $1 billion, maybe, of costumes and props and whatnot, just there available on display for people to see. It's just truly something that I really want to see myself, because a lot of this stuff is going to be shown to the public for the first time, really. So I'm just really excited. I don't know if you had heard anything about that, Logan.
No, you were the first one to tell me about it. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. It was basically funded by the Academy and by a bunch of famous actors like Tom Hanks, who put money into making this come true, and it's supposed to be really nice. And of course, not only that, it's gonna have actual Academy Awards, Oscars from past winners on display. So just really looking forward to seeing all of that, if possible, in person. Would like to see a lot of that stuff, including, rumor has it, one of the pair of ruby slippers that are still remaining.
Oh, wow.
Call back to our first episode.
Those are worth some money.
I don't know. I know that originally there were like 7 that they used in the movie, and a few of them have been lost or burned or damaged. So there's only a handful left. But they have one pair, and they're gonna show it, among other things. You talk about an older movie with a very valuable, piece of history there. So I don't just look at it as a movie museum, but a history museum, because it's gonna have a ton of history. I know they have some Star Wars stuff in there. That is really, really cool. So definitely looking forward to that. Anyways, let's get on with the show. Today we are going to talk about Independence Day. I know it's not July 4th. We're going to talk about it anyways, because I feel like it. Okay. And we said we were going to talk about it. Yeah. So fun fact number 1, I don't know if anyone knew this, but John Hancock was the only one that actually signed his signature on July 4th, Independence Day, which is pretty interesting. Everyone else signed after him, so he was the first one. We're talking about 56 men signing this thing, Declaration of Independence, from 13 different colonies, Logan. Mm-hmm. Average age of the signees or signers, 45. A bunch of old guys. Youngest was Thomas Lynch Jr., he was 27. Oldest was Benjamin Franklin, 70.
And Benjamin Franklin was quite the player.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of Harvard grads. Let's see here.
Oh, I got a fun fact.
Go ahead.
John Adams actually refused to celebrate July 4th as Independence Day because technically the actual vote was on July the 2nd. Mm-hmm. So he wouldn't recognize it, and he in fact refused invitations for celebrations on the 4th. But funny enough, both him and, well, I guess it's not so funny, but coincidentally, both him and Thomas Jefferson died on July 4th, 1886, about 50 years after the adoption. So pretty crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I fell asleep. What were we talking about?
The Independence Day movie.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yes. Let's go into that. Independence Day. Anyways, Logan, when's the first time you saw Independence Day?
Oh, the first time I saw Independence Day. Oh, gosh. I don't know, actually. I don't know when the first time, because I've seen it multiple times, like many, many times. It's one of my dad's, like, favorites to just pop in whenever he comes home from work and stuff. It's one of those movies where you don't have to think super hard. You just appreciate it for what it is. It's just a good blockbuster movie.
Right. It's one of those blockbusters. You don't watch it for the story, Yeah. I mean, maybe obviously a little bit, but you don't watch it for like an Academy Award winning story is what I'm trying to say. It's not a drama in the strictest of terms. It's a fun popcorn flick with some great action, some high quality action stars, right? And just really entertaining. And sometimes that's what you need. Not every movie is going to be an Oscar winner, and that's okay. Not every movie should be, because sometimes people are just gonna like these movies more, And this is one of the movies where I mentioned it last episode and the times before. I saw it the first time at my stepfather's grandparents' house, where, like I said, they had treasure trove of movies. First saw Star Wars and Robin Hood Men in Tights, and this is one of those movies that I saw there for the first time, Independence Day. And even as a kid, I mean, this movie's fun, right? I mean, aliens and explosions and Will Smith in the 90s, you know? It's a classic. It's a classic. It's got some great ingredients to it. For those of you who don't know, it's a movie about aliens invading and blowing up the White House.
It was kind of honestly, it's probably one of the first movies, at least from what I can remember, that like took aliens and made it more like a disaster movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like there had been aliens before, but they were kind of in a more of a horror setting, or more of a like like action adventure kind of setting, versus this is kind of a disaster setting. Like this is a force of nature that our characters have to overcome. I would compare Independence Day more with like 2012 than I would with Signs. One fun fact that I thought was hilarious. I don't know if this happened to you when you watched the movie, but they actually found that during Will Smith's bathroom introduction, into the movie, made audiences have to pee. The audience later in the movie, as quoted, I believe, from what that peeing sound in the scene, the audience later in the movie had to quickly run to the bathroom, as we noticed in screening after screening, dozens of people in the audience running to the bathroom in the middle of the movie.
I love peeing. I don't like peeing in the middle of a movie though, and I just sometimes I have to though. I can't hold it as well as I used to, because when I was like 19, I ended up in the hospital with kidney issues because I was at a party that ran out of water and any drinks, so I became severely dehydrated, and my kidneys started to bleed. So I started peeing blood and ended up in the hospital, and they still don't. I still don't know. I mean, obviously that's what happened, but we still don't know exactly what the issue is as to how they correlate. They couldn't, figure out why my kidneys reacted that way. I guess it's a rare thing. But ever since then, I mean, they put a catheter inside me, one that would push water to continue to clean out. It was like a filtration system that cleaned out my bladder so that the blood wouldn't clot inside my bladder and cause a blockage, which did happen, and that's why they had to put the catheter in there. So because there's constantly water going into my bladder, cleaning out my blood and urine, basically, where I didn't have to pee anymore, my bladder got weak because of that. It basically like shrank a little bit, as if I was a newborn again or something. So I've had to retrain my bladder slowly to hold in my pee now.
That's very interesting, Braden.
So now I can't hold my pee through a whole movie like I used to.
I thought you were gonna say I can't hold it like I used to because, I held it at a movie and then I peed on myself. But no, that was
no.
That was way more.
I try not to let those accidents happen. So yeah, now I have to. I'm lasting longer and longer, but let's talk about some of the actors here. I mean, we talked about Will Smith. Will Smith is, especially at this time, I mean, he was becoming a star, right? I mean, he had a show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We know that, right? But then he started doing movies like Independence Day and then Men in Black, and he just became an action star and then a movie star. He started Well, I would say he kind of started with Bad Boys, which was '95. That's when he really became some sort of like action star. Sorry, guys, my cat's coming in to say hi. Um, that's kind of his first action movie, you know. And then after Independence Day, or after Bad Boys, he did Independence Day, and then Men in Black, and then a few others. He really failed with Wild Wild West. I mean, that was a huge flop. So then he started doing more dramas and mixed in with action, and that's who now he's Will Smith, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see a younger Will Smith. I mean, that was like the best of the best that you could get from him. You know what I mean? Like that's the time if you want to watch or get to know who Will Smith was, or you want to have a fun Will Smith movie. I'd say around that time period is definitely the highest quality. You know what I mean? So, and some people aren't Will Smith fans. What about you, Logan? I think he's really talented.
I think he's extremely talented. I just think that it really has to do. It depends on who the director is and who the writers are, because as you know, an A-list actor, he has a lot of give and take with what his lines are and stuff. But as far as like if there's directors that are more able to kind of give him direction, like a good example of that. Let me think. Well, no, just I think pretty much every Will Smith movie I've seen, I enjoyed. I don't think there's movies that weren't that great, but I didn't see them. So,
Yeah.
like there's Suicide Squad, which I saw which direction that movie was going to go, and I was not interested in it in the least bit. Which saved myself some heartache there. But you know, there's other times too that Will Smith has been in movies that, you know, some people aren't just they're not that big of a fan, and some people think that he's got kind of a bloated view of himself. But I mean, if you look at like Independence Day, I think there's another really good one is I Am Legend, where the amount of range he has just by himself is really good. He can portray a lot of different characters very well. He could be goofy, but he could still be very fun as well, and he could be very serious and be on the edge of collapse. What's that movie? Not The American Dream. What's it called? With his son that he did with his son.
Oh, Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, that is a really good movie.
That's another really good, like showing his emotional range.
Yep.
He's not a bad actor at all.
Yeah, no, he's not a bad actor. I'd say he just makes bad choices when it comes to movies sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. But with how many movies he's been in, if you look at his roster of movies, I mean, statistically, he has to be in a bad one once in a while.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. Yeah. So this is an awesome pairing with Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, who coming off of Jurassic Park, who was also a pretty big star at the time, you know what I mean? Those are probably his two biggest movies though, is this one and Jurassic Park. So what did you think about him in this movie? I absolutely loved him in this movie. I think he's a great addition and really elevates the film, you know?
I think the difference between Jeff Goldblum in this movie and Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day 2 shows what a director's importance is in a movie, honestly. Because, I mean, not that he's horrible in the second movie. It's just give an actor direction and they can take off with it. He was funny. You believed the character. I mean, nobody's really deep in this movie, but it's believable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Also, a big fan of Judd Hirsch. He's a really good actor in this movie. What do you think about the special effects, Logan?
Funny enough, I think they still hold up to this day.
Yeah,
they were really good special effects.
Yep. Yeah, I think that the pretty good quality. You should give them props there. So fun facts. What do you have any real fun facts, Logan, from the movie?
No, absolutely no fun fact. I'm kidding. No, actually, fun fact about how it all got started. It got started on the press tour for Stargate. The director and co-writer Roland Emmerich didn't believe in aliens, but what he does believe in led to this movie getting made in the first place. He told a reporter during the press tour for Stargate that he believed in these concepts. He says, "I believe in fantasy. I believe in the great what if. What if aliens showed up? What if tomorrow morning you walked out the door and these enormous spaceships started hovering over every city in the world?" So that was like kind of what got them started. And so they ended up making Independence Day, him and Dean Devlin.
Oh, I had no idea. It's amazing. Independence Day was not the first movie or first name, the original name that was the movie was going to be named. It was supposed to be named Doomsday. I don't know if you know this, but Independence Day the rights to that name were owned by a different studio. So they added the line at the very end of the big speech by Bill Pullman. And I'm sure you can talk about that because you love that speech.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you very hot. So yeah, they added that line where he says Independence Day, and that actually helped push the studio to use that name instead. I don't know, they must have bought the rights or something, but they got the name that the director really and the writer and director really wanted that name, Independence Day, and they got it. Interesting, huh?
Yeah,
because I mean, it makes sense. I mean, the attack was on July 4th in the movie.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it makes sense to get the movie named Independence Day.
It makes the movie kind of a I don't think it's a social commentary whatsoever. Like a lot of people try to make a movie that's not a social commentary nowadays. Like that's the cool thing to do. The cool kids do that. But no, but that makes the movie kind of fit the little niche that it's made for itself. Because, without that speech, it would have been like, all right, we're going to go fight some aliens. Cool. But I think that whole speech just made that movie kind of making, like what I said earlier about it being a force of nature, them like being like, oh, okay, we could actually do something. It just makes it so much more fun and so much more believable that, oh yeah, we might die, but we're going to go kill some aliens. It's going to be great. Whereas like even with the name Doomsday of a title, like that would be a great title for a disaster movie, but not really for an alien disaster movie. You know what I mean? Like Independence Day found its own niche with that name, the title,
Right.
the speech, everything. It makes it a little bit patriotic, but more of like a I'm human and I'm patriotic for being a human kind of patriotism.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so that's the name. Now, I didn't know this until right now, but it actually won the Academy Award for Best Special Effects, and we talked about special effects. Makes sense. Definitely earned. So really like that. Also, we talk about Bill Pullman. Can you see anyone else in that role as a president?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. There's literally nobody else but Bill Pullman was going to do that, in my opinion. It was never going to be anybody else.
Well, I don't know if you knew this, but the role was written for somebody else.
Yeah, I know. But go ahead.
All sad. It was written for Kevin Spacey, my best friend. No,
Oh yeah, y'all close.
Not anymore. No. um, no,
Because he
was-
wasn't in Independence Day. You're not friends with him anymore. Oh.
um, but yeah, I mean, so it was written for him, but he wasn't actually considered a star at the time. I don't know. I guess maybe an action star. I don't know. Maybe he didn't fit for the movie. So, yeah, Bill Pullman got cast, and the rest is history.
Mhm. I think Kevin Spacey could have been, but it would have been a different movie. It wouldn't have been this kind of niche genre.
Really, you think that really would have made that big of a difference?
I think it would have made that big of a difference because I think they would have had to change the writing because even though I don't think for a moment that Kevin Spacey is like a goofy person, but for their cast of characters, let's think about it. We have Will Smith, we would have Kevin Spacey, we would have Jeff Goldblum. I mean, that's kind of a goofy cast if you ever heard one, right? I think they needed. I mean,
whenever
I say
I
that,
look,
I say that, but I mean, we've also just talked about Spaceballs, so
whenever I look at that cast, like you know how like when you had I don't have like satellite TV anymore, but I don't know if you would like look at like you'd hit info on a movie or a show and it tell you like the top 3 actors or actresses or whatever for that movie. It would show you that. Do you remember seeing that?
mm-hmm.
You'd hit like info on and it tell you what the movie's about and it show like the top 3. Every time I'd see that like Jeff Goldblum, Will Smith, Bill Pullman, I'm like, man, that's an interesting because this movie was on TV all the time. I'm like, man, that's a really good trio. Like that's an interesting trio. You know what I mean? There's certain like casts where it's like that makes a world of a difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that they do make the 3 of them. If there were somebody else, I think it would just not be the same. So I see what you're saying. I think if they had someone else than Will Smith or Jeff Goldblum, I think it would have made a bigger difference. But, yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, it's just I don't think Kevin Spacey could have pulled off the kind of like patriotism that this movie puts into it.
Especially when
Bill
you're
Pullman put
gonna
into
go
it.
to jail in the future. So.
Yep. Yep.
Also, so I didn't know this either, but they actually rushed this film to release.
I didn't know that either.
To compete with a movie that I really like in Mars Attacks, another sci-fi movie. Other than sci-fi, they're completely different movies. Mars Attacks is more of a comedy. So I don't think that's a fair competition.
That's not a fair competition at all. And I mean, like you said, Mars Attacks is funny. It's not a bad. It's just that's a terrible. It'd be like trying to put Squirtle up against Pikachu's. Like it's not quite balanced there, eh?
They're good in their own right. Mars Attacks was more of an homage to the 50s sci-fi, those kind of things. But whereas Independence is a new twist, a new, genre almost that has been copied many times, by the way.
It has.
So, by the way, do you know any movies that you can think of that try to copy or rip off Independence Day?
Not blatantly rip off, but kind of like in a spiritual way, like a successor. I would say, is most fittingly. I think would be War of Worlds.
Yeah, but that was, I guess the style, but I mean that was written way before. There was an original War of the Worlds.
Yeah, no, but what I mean is the movie, because and the funny thing that you say that is that actually that's another fun fact is that a lot of War of the Worlds there's a lot of homages, in Independence Day, and they took a lot of ideas from the original War of the Worlds, and put it in kind of wrote it into Independence Day. Excuse me, English difficult, but I guess they kind of bounce off of each other in like a very, like I said, in a homage kind of way instead of blatantly ripped off.
Yeah. There's this movie that's really terrible that it's like a guilty pleasure of mine. I actually kind of like it. Really bad movie though, but
Oh,
it's called The Darkest Hour. Have you seen that?
let me look it up really quick. Darkest Hour.
So it's about these young adults.
This is not what. Okay, this is World War II with Winston Churchill. Darkest Hour. The Darkest Hour. Is that?
Yes, The
Okay.
Darkest Hour.
I was like, that's not it at all.
I don't know. I think they're pretty similar. No, it's called The Darkest Hour. It's a sci-fi action movie. It's a bunch of young adults that are in Moscow. They're all from different places. You got 3 Americans, an Australian, and a Swedish person. They're all in Moscow, and it gets invaded by aliens, like aliens that are in like these little UFO things. They drive around in them, but they have the ability to go invisible, so you can't see them. And they'll like shoot you. You can kind of see them like glowing a little bit, like you can kind of tell. But if you're not looking closely, they're invisible. It's an alien invasion movie. Obviously, has some things that it got from Independence Day. I kind of liked it. It's got horrible reviews. It wasn't
Yeah.
considered very good.
Yeah, Braden, it had worse reviews than Independence Day 2. Do you have any idea how hard you have to try to make a worse movie than Independence Day 2?
I saw this movie in the dollar theaters, and I just thought it was so entertaining and fun, even though it was not original at all. Um,
At least
don't
you
know.
admit that it's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it is a guilty pleasure, and I'm not a huge. Well, I don't know. Should I say I'm not a huge sci-fi fan if I really like Star Wars and Star Trek? I guess I'm picky about my sci-fi, and yet I kind of like this movie. I think you should watch it. It's called The Darkest Hour. 2011 movie. Yeah, didn't do well at all. So
Yeah, not at all. At all. It had 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
my point is, there's a lot of movies that kind of rip this off, and even though Independence Day didn't get the best reviews, it's still a classic and it's still original in a lot of ways. What are the reviews that it got?
It actually, yeah, like you said, weird enough. My Rotten Tomatoes is freaking out. Give me a second.
Screaming.
It wants me to sign in. Oh my gosh, no. I refuse. Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to. Give me a second. Technical difficulties. Great.
I don't like giving you seconds.
All right, there we go. It actually got 75% on audience, but 67% on the tomato meter, which is professionals rating it. It's not something that I would give fantastic scores, but I think that's kind of fitting in the audience score. I think 75% is fitting. It's not something that you would go watch, and I guess it's not a movie for everybody either. But it is a good movie. It's fun. It's a blockbuster. I don't like that it's considered an epic because it's just not. But it's a fun adventure disaster movie.
Yep. Yeah. Now, did we talk about the big speech, the president's speech?
Not into detail, but
I know how hot you think that speech is.
So hot.
Why do you like that speech so much?
It's like one of those things in movies, like having a speech before a battle or like before a big part of the movie. Like Avatar also does that really well. it kind of gets you excited and anticipating the final battle, the final fight. It's kind of like, in I want to say Rambo, but it's not Rambo. Sylvester Stallone, boxing, can't think.
Mm-hmm.
What's that movie?
Rocky.
Rocky. Oh my gosh, people are gonna be mad about that one. No, in Rocky, like, how he has the kind of transition where he's getting into his head. I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna win this. You're getting amped up. That's kind of what that whole speech did for me, and I think that's the first movie where it had a speech like that. And I'm kind of a sucker for like those like very not really, it's like the calls to action basically. Like, I don't know if you ever saw that skit on YouTube either, where they're like how to make a blockbuster movie trailer. And then it's like, I love that trailer. It wasn't even a real trailer. I'm a sucker for it. I know it. I'm so generic, but man, it's just so good. It's just so good.
Where would you rank it on your top movie speeches of all time?
Oh my gosh, really high. Like top 10 movie speeches of all times, honestly. Like that one, Avatar, Rogue One. Gosh, I can't even think about any.
Great Dictator.
The Great Dictator is good, but I would put that in. If you mean speeches, like speech overall, then yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean motivational speech. I just meant speech.
Yeah. Or the one in Rocky 4. That one's a good one too.
Well, speaking of Great Dictator, shameless plug. We have a new episode out on Cinemillennials where me and Logan, guest appeared, just came out a day or two ago, on the Great Dictator. Go listen to that. It's if you're more of a intellectual, you don't like hearing us Dumbos talk like Dumbos, I think you'll appreciate that more. So go check that out. And top speeches. A lot of these speeches are in sports movies,
Yeah.
Or war movies.
Yeah. And Al Capone did a speech for a football movie. What was that movie?
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about.
You mean Al Pacino?
Al Pacino. Al Capone. Oh my gosh. I cannot think. It's
Any
late.
Given Sunday. Yeah. Any Given Sunday. That's what it is.
Yeah. I knew who I was thinking about. I just couldn't get it out.
Al Capone gave a speech right before he murdered everyone. Speaking of, let's do a weird tie here. So, Any Given Sunday, starring Al Capone, Al Pacino, and Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid's brother, Randy Quaid, is in this movie. He plays hillbilly country boy who sacrifices his life for Pakistan. No, for America.
Yes, we all remember that one moment when he sacrificed his life for Pakistan. Oh, today is going so great. This episode is going so amazing. No, that also is like, I think part of the reason why this movie works so well. Why like the patriotism kind of works so well, the self-sacrifice bits.
Right.
It's like for the greater good kind of movie.
Yeah.
And so you're emotionally invested, even though it's not that deep or that like meaningful in full honesty as soon as you take a step back. But because of the speech, because of how you see this poor drunk of a man go and self-sacrifice himself for his kids, it's like, oh, that's just good. Whenever they get you invested in somebody who doesn't even get that much screen time, like, oh, that's good. That's good writing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the rich people in the military that are involved. It's everyone,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even the little guy.
Yep.
I like the little guy. So, Any other facts, Logan, or anything you appreciate about this film that's worth mentioning?
I'm glad they never made a sequel
Ah,
because it would have been ruined.
but they did.
But they did.
And it didn't pique my interest enough to go and actually see it.
Oh, you saved yourself heartache. I saw it.
What makes this so bad, the sequel?
Oh my gosh, everything. So everything that was good about the first one is like whoever. Let me look so I can know exactly who wrote it, so I could like take a take a crap on them.
It's written by a couple of the same guys who made the first one. Directed by Roland Emmerich, who did the first one. Written by Dean Devlin, Roland Emmerich, and a few other guys. Before it was just Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, but now they got some other people too to write the story. But you can kind of blame the same people who did the first one, honestly.
I guess the first one was just lightning in a jar. I guess because there's no way that you could just come up because it's just really lazy writing. And you know it's really easy to complain and to do whatever, but I mean they had ways that they could have gone about it, and you know what, I don't care, I'm gonna spoil it. The whole fight with the queen at the very end where she's running around being just dumb and she chases people, a bus for some reason, in a bus, like even though they're gonna stop her, like there's just like moments where you're taken out of the film and it's just unbelievable that there's this giant alien like running after a bus. Like, okay, in Godzilla, it works. Why? Because it's Godzilla. There's no precedent for like. I don't expect it. That doesn't mean that it's good. Like it just there was just so much laziness. It was like it was what it was J.J. Abrams' Star Wars all over again. They just took what worked last time and tried to recreate it, but this time more scary, with more lasers, more guns. It's like that doesn't. No. You just like think creatively. Like if you wanted to do, there's like a civil war and now humans are caught up in it because you know you killed their first one, but that was just a scout mothership. Okay, well that's crazy, and then they're like thrown into this universe. That would be cool. But oh no, there's big bad person that came and now the queen is coming to kill you. Why? And then they had this whole arc about how there was a ship that landed in Africa, and there was all these people who were fighting them, and they actually like the humans won, even though it landed in Africa, like where there was no like first world country support in the war. It was all these poor third world countries that fought aliens with super advanced technology and they won. I wanted to see that movie. That would have been a cool movie. Do that. Do that. I would have been like, no, this is nuts. These like Africans like beating the crap out of some aliens. That's awesome. But no, what we got was like this dude who's like, oh yeah, I killed a whole bunch of them, and he tries to be cool, but he just comes off like really goofy. It was just so goofily written. It just there's a term for it. It's called piss poor. That's what it is. So demeaning.
You mentioned Godzilla. Which one? Are you talking about the one from the 90s that was also directed by Roland Emmerich?
Oh man, he's actually good. It's just he just had, I guess, kind of like Will Smith.
Do you like that Godzilla?
The one in the American one.
Yeah, the one in the 90s with Matthew Broderick, which is the lizard thing.
Yeah, that one. Oh, I thought you meant the Japanese one. I was like, wait, I was about to ask why was he making a Japanese? But anyways, okay, well that makes a lot more sense. Never mind. I give up. I'm not gonna defend that guy. It was literally lightning in a bottle.
I guess so. It doesn't look like he's made a good movie since. Let's see, Roland Emmerich. He made Stargate, which came out right before. I kind of like Stargate though.
Stargate was good.
Yeah. And then he made Independence Day, so he had two lightnings in a bottles. Then he did Godzilla, which was
He did 2012 and The Day After Tomorrow, which are basically the same movie.
Day After Tomorrow was good. The Patriot from 2000 was also pretty decent. I liked it. But 10,000 BC was really bad. White House Down. I liked it, but it didn't get good reviews. I actually liked that movie. It's like he's hit or miss, but his hits aren't like amazing. I mean, the only classic he's really made is Independence Day, if you really think about it.
Well, I would say did he direct or was he just part of writing 2012?
He directed 2012.
I would say 2012 is a decent movie. I think it's funny that it got horrible reviews, but have you seen 2012?
I have not seen 2012.
That is actually another very like turn off your brain fun movie. It's actually, I think, one of my mom's favorite movies, because she's a sucker for like disaster movies as well as like old classics. But
Yeah, it's interesting. I know it was a big deal at the time because of the whole world ending in 2012.
mhm.
You know, so I remember the movie coming out. I just never got around to seeing it. So maybe I will. Also starring, or not starring, but it has a appearance of actor George Siegel, who I mentioned passed away recently. He's in 2012. He plays a jazz singer in the movie. Just looking at it. So, okay, that's interesting. I have to check that out. So yeah, anything else that you wanted to mention?
They're thinking about having Independence Day 3. Same
What do
director.
you think? What do you think?
Please let it burn. Let it burn. Let it die. Please. Stop beating the horse. It's dead. Just stop trying to milk it.
Well, what
Like-
I'm reading is that they were gonna make they're planned on making one depending on how the second one went. Second one didn't do so well, so apparently there's no plans right now, but it's not off the table.
Well, what I saw was that here, let me look at it again. I already closed it, sorry. I know. Terrible. Director, and then let's go to more movies, because I saw what's it called, Independence Day 3 as one of the movies. I was like, what the heck? But no, in this article in February of last year, he said if they asked, Screen Rant asked if he'd be interested in working on Independence Day 3, and Emmerich replied by saying, yeah, absolutely, I have a great idea for the sequel. They say time heals all wounds, and it feels like that's the case for Emmerich here. And the failure of Resurgence seems to have left a better taste in not just the audience mouth, but the directors as well. He stated before Resurgence that he did not like sequels.
Maybe he's just running out of ideas.
Maybe. Or maybe he actually like really thought about it and is like, you know what, I know how to fix this big old piece of trash that I made. I hope so. I think he's honestly got ability. He's got a couple of lightnings in the bottle. So again, Stargate was pretty enjoyable.
Right.
And 2012 was fun. I mean, there's issues with the movies. They're not perfect, but no movie is. I don't think 2012 deserves the 30-40% chance, 30-40% on Rotten Tomato that it
Rotten
has.
Potatoes.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay, well, it's getting past my sleepy time. Logan, what do you think?
Yeah. I guess for those who are listening in the morning, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I'll let you do that. It's my bedtime for sure.
I'm gonna go to bed. See you later. You can do my sign off. Let's see how you do.
Okay. For those listening in the morning, good morning. For those listening in the afternoon, good afternoon. For those getting cozied up for bed, good evening and good night.